Hi, it's Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Welcome to part 2 of 36 rich habits followed by rich and successful people, based on my own experience, the hundreds of people I've met, the people I know right now, the courses I've been on, the hundreds and hundreds of books that I've read, seminars I've attended, and so on. And you know, I've been to seminars and courses all over the world, in California, where I met Brian Tracy face to face, Jim Rohn, and many others on that trip. It was a wonderful trip, and I've met many multi-millionaires and billionaires here in the UK. So these are the habits. Now, this is not the definitive list. You can go and find similar habits and maybe more or less habits, but this is based on my observation. It doesn't mean also that you have to follow all of these habits to be successful. But if you started following a few of them and maybe eliminate some of the habits that are not making you successful, it could make a huge difference in your life. So let's crack on then. The first 12 will be on the previous broadcast, obviously, that you can find on my YouTube channel, Charles Kelly Money Tips Podcast, on my Spotify, iTunes, and on Facebook, and all over wherever you listen to podcasts. And do check out my free training as well, which can help you manage your money and get your finances in order in just 28 days. So do check out, there's some free training. I'll put a link up to that. Okay, so number 13 on the list, just to recap, number 12 was they manage their time. They also believe, number 13, is that time is money. They act as if time is money. They don't waste time. You know, they don't stand around doing nothing, you know. So they obviously, you take time to relax and spend time with family and etc. and have recreation, but they manage their time, and they believe, number 13, that time is money. Number 14 is they avoid procrastination. They just get on with it, like the old Nike ad, just do it, just get on with it, get up and do it. You know, that's very important, because I think that the habits of unsuccessful people is they procrastinate. They think about it too much. They plan and plan and plan, and I'll do that after Christmas, I'll do that after Easter, well, summer's come in, I better get all my ducks in order, and yes, when it's all ready, when I've got all my ducks in a row and I've got this done, I've got that holiday out of the way, then I'll start that course, or then I'll start that business. But they kind of never get round to it. You know, they live on a nice place called Someday Isle, which is an island called Someday Isle. Someday I'll get round to it. Someday I'll start that course. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll start saving and investing, and someday I'll start managing my money, but never today. Okay, number 15 is that rich and successful people tend to avoid negative or toxic people. I've actually seen this in person in a room where, you know, you get someone approach and say, I don't think your thing is out, and they start having a go at them. And they'll just quietly nod and say thanks very much, and they'll just move on. They just avoid it, you know, and they tend to hang around people that are like-minded, like themselves, not necessarily all wealthy, rich people, but that does tend to happen. As you get more money, you tend to hang around people with money, but they tend to hang around people who are positive, forward-thinking, and can help them up rather than try and drag them down. Number 16 is they are organised people, and they're dependable. You know, they're organised in their work, they're organised in their life. It's going back to sort of discipline, isn't it? Discipline, organisation, and they're dependable. You know, if they say they're going to turn up for an appointment, you know, you're not going to get that call. Oh, I forgot. Oh, my car's broken down. Oh, sorry. So I was on the way, and then the phone rang, and then this happened and that happened. And, you know, they're not like that. They're dependable. They show up. And I've seen this with charity events. You know, if someone who's successful, busy, wealthy, they've got a busy business, and they say they're coming, they'll turn up, and they make the time to turn up. Unsuccessful people say, no, I was watching my favourite programme, I just forgot about it, or I've got to stay in tonight, the football's on, EastEnders on, you name it, they've always got an excuse. So unsuccessful people are generally less dependable, and they've got more time to give than wealthy and successful people, but they somehow just spend their life wasting their time. Number 17 is that the rich and successful make time work for them rather than exchanging their time for money. Now, this is a generalization, because a lot of wealthy and successful people are employed, right? So they could be in upper level management, they could be executives, they could be senior chairman, directors of large companies. So they're not all business people. Someone who's a senior executive in Apple or in British Telecom is probably making far more money, 10 times the income of the average small business person who's struggling away working 80 hours a week. But they make their time work for them, and that means they organise things, they delegate things, they still make their time work for them, and rather than thinking, and they don't even think like they're exchanging time for money. Even if they're employed, they'll think like they are the business. They are, I am Charles Kelly Limited, and I'm working for myself. Even if I'm employed by you for a time, I'm still doing it for my business. And that's a different mentality from thinking like an employee, the boss and this and that. They don't give me any money, they don't give me a pay rise, which is very relevant at the moment with all the strikes. But it's that kind of thing. They go and row their own boat and make their time work for them, rather than exchanging time for money. If you're in a job that you don't like, but you're exchanging your time and your life for money, then you've got to rethink that. You've got to think, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Now, I realise that a lot of people can't help it. They've got a family to look after, and they have to maybe do a job that they don't like for a time. I've done it myself, but at the same time, you could be planning for the future. You could be thinking about, what am I going to do in the future? It doesn't mean, I'm not saying go and quit your job and say I'm not going to exchange my time for money anymore. I'm leaving this job to start some business. No, you've got to plan it and work out what you're going to do with your life, and not just sort of throw the towel in. But you can change that in your life. Believe me, I've seen it done many, many times. And of course, if you're in a job that you enjoy, then that's great. A lot of people have got a vocation in life and they love what they do. I'm not saying change it just to make more money. No. Okay. And number 18 is that the rich and successful people that I know value their family. They value the time with their family, their home life. They spend quality time with their family, and they'll enjoy those weekends, those holidays, those special trips, and their life is their family. They're working for their family. One successful guy I know, he's a nice guy. He's got lots of friends, but he said to me one day, I don't need that many friends. I've got my family. He spends his time with his family. He's not out drinking and shooting pool somewhere and always out with the boys. He's at home, relaxing, resting, eating well, looking after his family, spending time with his children, now his grandchildren. So that's what they're like. And in fact, in the book The Secrets of the Millionaire Next Door, they said that's what most millionaires do. They're actually what you might call a cheap date. They don't spend a lot of money. They spend time with their family. They prefer to be just with their family, going out for walks, rather than spending time in an expensive country club playing golf with the boys. So I'm making a few generalizations here, but it has been studied that most successful people have a good family life. And of course, the costs of divorce and the cost of splitting up assets and that are hugely damaging to people's wealth. So a supportive partner, wife, husband, significant other, whatever you want to call it, is very important to successful people. And many of them have said that they've attributed their success to having a supportive partner in their life and having a stable family, stability kind of life, right? So that's very important, and that's what I've observed. Successful people and rich people are usually nice. They're usually friendly. They're personable, likable people. Now this goes against the grain when you see, the films and the movies and the TV shows. Their depiction of business people and successful people is all nasty, evil people. They haven't got the time. Get out of my way. I'm successful. I'm rich. Get out of my way. They're ruthless and evil and bad. This idea that money is evil. That's the way they're portrayed. But in actual fact, it's not true. If you go to wealthier neighborhoods, they tend to be nicer people. And you might say, oh, that's all right for them. They've got money they can afford. No, it's not that. They were nice before they got money. If they were horrible before they got money, they'll probably be horrible when they've got money as well. But, they're generally nice and likable people. And of course, if you think about it, if they weren't likable, how could they attract people to work with them? How could they sell their company? How could they sell their products? How could they get on? How could they climb the ladder, the corporate ladder, and become, chairman of, large companies and make, hundreds of millions of dollars? How could they build businesses without being likable and personable and nice? This goes back to something Brian Tracy said. Don't be a jerk. You've got to be likable. You've got to be able to work with people. Okay, and the next thing, that's number 19. Number 20 is that they are generous. They give back through giving and charity. Now, this is something I've really noticed since my involvement over the last few years, over the last 10 or 15 years now in Rotary, is that most Rotarians are wealthy, successful people. Not all, but they make sure they give time. They give time, they give money, they're very generous. I've seen wealthy people make out a check for a charity and it says it's from their giving account. They actually have a giving account. So they put a certain percentage of their income into that account to give to charities or maybe their own foundations or whatever it is. But they generally, I think it's something in them. They just give back to charities. And yet unsuccessful people and people that are not that busy, they haven't got time. I haven't got time to go and help with that collection down at the supermarket. I haven't got time to go to meetings, or I haven't got time to go and help people at Christmas. No, they haven't got time. But the people that are most busy seem to manage to get the time to give back and do something for their local communities. I've even seen a guy today voluntarily picking up rubbish around his outside his house. I was passing by his house. I saw him. He's not a council worker. He's just making sure that his environment is clean. And yet if you go to sorry to say this in a general, if you go to a poorer area where people are perhaps not even working, their front gardens are a mess, they've got tires lying around there, their life is a mess, and it shows from the moment you walk up on their front door. Okay, that's my little rant there. But okay, now 21 is that they have a strong magnetism, a career, and then a charisma or an energy field, something about them. You can see when they walk into the room, they give off this aura, this energy. Have you noticed that? People almost gravitate to them, and yet they're not running around the room giving out cards. They could just sort of stand there, and somehow people gravitate to them. I don't know what it is. They've got something within them. It's that energy within them. I was watching a documentary about Philip Green, the billionaire Philip Green. I know he's a bit not flavour of the month at the moment, but I just saw a clip of him sitting in a meeting, and I don't know, the way he was looking around, he just seemed to have this drive and energy within him, even though he wasn't saying anything. I don't know what it was. If you look at someone like Richard Branson, and I've sort of seen Richard Branson face. I haven't met him, but I've seen him, and he always gives off a glow. I don't know what it is. He's got this. I really don't know what it is. It's not something he puts on. You can see it, and you look at photos of him. He's definitely got some sort of special energy field within them, and maybe that's built up by their positive attitude, by the way they look after themselves, the way they work, and the passion and desire they've got for their business to grow, and they've got a passion and determination to make money, to grow money, and to build strong businesses. Although some of them don't do it just for the money. Richard Branson said he's got enough money now. He likes to put his money to work and build strong businesses. That's his passion, and you can see it just looking at him. Now, at the same time, number 22 is that they have a relaxed, calm, and self-assured manner or energy. They're not. When I say they've got energy and charisma, that doesn't mean they're running around being energetic and stamping their feet and rah rah. They've just got something about them. They can be relaxed and calm, and that then gives them energy, because they're not wasting energy by huffing and puffing and shouting and screaming. They just have that self-assured manner that you can almost see it in people, can't you? You must have seen this yourself. If you walk into a meeting, you see the most successful person in the room. Somehow, I don't know what it is. I'm not saying I've got it, but I don't have it. I mean, there's just something about them. So do look out for that, and I think that comes from something from within. It's perhaps not something you could just get easily, but it's something from within. I don't necessarily think it's something you're born with. It's that inner confidence is the word I'm looking for. Now, number 23 is that they are leaders in one form or another, in their field, in their job, in their business. They have to be leaders. They have to attract people to work with them, to build a team. And it's the same as even if you're working in a company, they're not going to be the guy in the packing room. They're going to be a leader, a manager, an executive, a leader in some form or another. and if they're running a business, they're a leader. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be a number 2 or a number 3 and still be a leader. You know, Warren Buffett has got Charlie Munger, often seen as the number 2, but he's a leader in his own right, you know, and you could be seen as an equal. But, you know, if you are a number 2, I'm trying to think of people that have made fortunes by being a number 2 to the charismatic leader. They're not all charismatic leaders, but you think of Wozniak, who was the number 2 with Steve Jobs. He still became a billionaire, you know, and he was a leader in his field in his own right, but he wasn't the overall charismatic leader. Same as Steve Ballmer and people like that, and in the Microsoft days, you know. So, but they are leaders in their field, leaders in their job, leaders of people, rather than just followers. Okay, now number 24 is that they get along with people and work well and build a team around them. This is something that, you know, Brian Tracy goes back to. When I met Brian Tracy, you know, you have to be able to work with people. You know, if you're a jerk, you're an arsehole, you know, no one's going to want to work with you, are they? And, you know, I've been guilty of being a bit aggressive in the past, sometimes when I've worked in teams. I've had to learn that you have to work with people, because people are the business. You're not doing business with a machine, you're doing business, your customers are people. And the most successful people work well in teams. Now, you're probably going to come up with an example of someone who's a loner and still made it, but if that person is a loner, then they will have people around them that can do the teamwork and run the team. Whatever it is, they've got to build teams and be good at that. And I don't care who you are, they've had to have been a leader and work well to team, for people to follow them when the dark days are there and you think everything is going wrong. You know, if you think of Elon Musk, when he's had those dark times when, you know, he was trying to get rockets, SpaceX off the ground, literally, and the rockets were not going off the ground. They were going off so high and blowing up. And 3 of these, you know, $100 million rockets went up in smoke, and it seemed like everything was crashing around him. And at the same time, he was trying to build up Tesla, and that was going wrong as well. So he had to be able to lead his team to stay with him, to give them confidence. He had to lead his investors to stick with him and give him more money to keep the thing going. Jeff Bezos had to keep Amazon going for nearly 10 years without making a penny. He had to keep going back to those investors and have that confidence and that belief to lead them to make them keep supporting Amazon and keep it going, and to build to what it is today. You know, and he's one of the richest men in the world. Elon Musk and Bezos, one of the two anyway. They're always up there, aren't they? Depending on their share price. But, you know, so that's number 24. I'll finish the list in my next broadcast, because it's gone on. Probably heard enough of me now, but that's number 24 out of the 36 rich habits. So I'll check you out in the next episode. But think about this for now. If you're just watching this episode alone, think about your vision for life. What is your vision for life? What are your goals? Are they written down? Are they clearly written down? Do you have a plan to achieve them? And how are you managing your life, your money? You know, what steps are you taking to improve your life, to improve your finances? And finally, do check out on the link below previous episodes and my free training to help you get to grips with your money and turn your finances around in just 28 days. I'll be with you on the next episode for the continuation. Yes, the continuation, folks. Join us next time for the continuation of 36 Rich Habits. I'll see you there. Bye for now. Sorry about the accent.